Mysteries that blew my mind on paternity court.
I'm taking
You got
everything.
2 kids before her. You should know how to do all this.
You could have twins with 2 different fathers.
And
I
then
don't
she
need your
wanted,
help. My baby's well taken care of. He's been taken care of for almost a year now.
No, he don't ask about no daddy. He asks about me.
We get into this confusion with conception.
Mr. Smith doesn't think that he is the father to his ex-girlfriend's 3-year-old son. Why? Well, according to Mr. Smith, his ex, Ms. Jones, was anything but faithful, and there was no way that Ms. Jones's son was his. This one's a head-scratcher, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Smith, you are here contesting paternity of your ex-girlfriend's 3-year-old daughter, Janiyah. You claim Ms. Jones is sex crazed and had intercourse with multiple men during the time of conception. And you intend to prove you are not her child's father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Jones, you say Mr. Smith is nothing but a deadbeat who will grasp onto any excuse to get out of being a daddy to your daughter. You say today's paternity test results will prove that he is her father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Wow! Well, Mr. Smith is off to a flying start. Apparently, Ms. Jones is a sex addict and a compulsive liar. Those are some serious allegations. But after Mr. Smith gave his opening testimony, we couldn't really disagree.
Yes, Your Honor. She is a sex addict and a compulsive liar. When I first met Janiyah, we had sex on the first night. I took her virginity. A few hours later, she had sex with another man.
Oh!
So I could tell you multiple reasons why I believe I am not the father of her child.
If Mr. Smith's word is anything to go by, Ms. Jones has been a very busy girl. She got together with another man on the same day that Mr. Smith claims to have taken her virginity. Maybe she thought once just wasn't enough. And to be honest, who wouldn't have doubts about being the father?
These are some very strong allegations about your sexual practices.
Yes.
Do you agree?
No. The only compulsive liar is him. Yes, I am a sex addict, but only with the person I am in a relationship with, what was him at the time.
What was your relationship like?
We were best friends at first, and then we started having sex.
Wait, hold on. We became best friends the day we had sex.
What?
Sex on the first day? Well, that's one hell of a way to start a friendship. So Ms. Jones admits to the fact that she's a sex addict, but according to her, she's only like that with whoever she's in a relationship with. She also accused Mr. Jones of being a compulsive liar. So who can we really trust here?
We met at a party, went home with her, had sex with her. Then after that, we hooked up a couple more times. We was friends with benefits.
Oh, so you're saying the sex happened immediately?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, so you met at a party, had sex that night?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, that's not best friends, that's a booty call.
Judge Lake didn't mince her words on that one. The couple says they started out as best friends, but from the outside looking in, that was the textbook definition of a booty call. And as we've come to learn from our time in this courtroom, relationships built on that foundation are shaky at best.
So how did you even find out, or how do you know that Ms. Jones was with other men?
She had a boyfriend while we was best friends. And we know that because me and her talked about these things. And then I really know she was having sex with this individual.
Your Honor,
because we was having sex one night and she wanted me to do a freaky thing with her that he was doing to her that I committed not to do.
Oh, so she admitted that she was having sex with somebody else because she wanted you to do what he did?
Yes, Your Honor.
Things are getting interesting. So according to Mr. Smith, when he and Ms. Jones started seeing each other, Ms. Jones already had a boyfriend. They would even talk about him when they were together. And since Ms. Jones is a self-proclaimed sex addict, she was into some freaky things that Mr. Jones just couldn't keep up with. Kudos to her boyfriend for fulfilling her nasty desires.
So you didn't have a boyfriend when you met him?
No.
Were you having sex with anybody else?
Yes.
Oh, you were?
This
Yes.
around the same time of conception.
No, Your
That's
Honor.
around the same time.
I was
So
having.
boyfriend or no boyfriend, I mean, sex is what makes babies. So if you were having
Yeah.
sex with somebody else during the window of time you were having sex with Mr. Smith, how do you rule the other guy out?
I was having sex with this man in July.
Well,
I got
well,
into
Your
a
Honor,
relationship
it's
with him in August, and I got pregnant at the end of August.
This was turning into a serious case of he said, she said. Ms. Jones denied having a boyfriend at the time she was sleeping with Mr. Smith, but admitted to seeing somebody else at around the same time. But according to her, she didn't have sex with the other man during her window of conception. This one could be a coin flip, guys.
One day I went to go see Janaisha had a hotel motel room where she was there with multiple friends. I came up there. She wanted to go with me, but I had other ventures to go on to.
Ventures?
Yeah. So I called her later that night. It was a lonely night. I called her. I was like, you know, do you want to lay up? She didn't answer the phone, though.
He was blowing me up, Your Honor.
A couple of days later, this all around time of conception. A couple of weeks later, she admitted to having getting oral sex from this guy. This not the boyfriend, this a whole different guy. A couple of weeks after the oral sex came up, she was like, well, he tried to start sex with me, I stopped it. A couple of weeks after that, she admitted to having sex with this guy.
And so you're saying she has admitted that she actually had sex with a third guy. Not you, not the boyfriend she was with when you met her, but another guy.
Yes, Your Honor.
And the body count continues. Mr. Smith revealed that Ms. Jones was getting down and dirty with not one, not two, but three different guys at the time of conception. Ms. Jones admitted to that being true, but denied that she was intimate with the third guy during her conception window.
The thing about this motel guy is a collage came out.
A collage?
Yes, with me, the baby, and this guy from the motel.
And you submitted that to the court? This
Yes, Your Honor.
collage. How did you find this collage?
This collage was in a group chat with her and her friend, her best friend. So when it came to me, her best friend admitted to me like, oh no, I didn't make that. Janaisha made it. So
No.
my first thing is like, Janaisha did make it because Janaisha is a strong-minded person. I'm knowing Janaisha would have seen that, she would have snapped like, oh, I know who my baby daddy is, why would you make this? None of that happened.
Which I did.
So she had concerns.
Oh, so you're saying Miss Jones made this collage because she was trying to get a public poll.
It's getting hot in here. This story had more layers than an onion, and as it unraveled, people's eyes were going to get teary. So Mr. Smith submitted a collage picture of himself, the baby, and the third guy who they just settled on calling Motel Guy. He thinks Ms. Jones posted that picture on social media to get a public poll on who her followers thought was the father.
When the baby come, we at the hospital, her family members come up there, her friends come up there. So while we up there, this motel guy have a baby a day later. So they across the room with his baby.
What?
So her family members make a comment like, let's go to this other room and see this baby, see do they babies look alike.
It's drama galore in the courtroom. As Ms. Jones was delivering her baby, Motel Guy was with another lady, having another child in the delivery room right across Ms. Jones. And as if that wasn't enough to get Mr. Smith mad, Ms. Jones' family members insisted on taking a peek at Motel Guy's baby to see if they looked alike. It was messy.
One day I go over to her family house. This is like Christmas time, I'm taking presents over. So we sitting in the dining room. A kid come in the room, cause I say something to the child, I say something to Janaisha baby. A little kid come in there like, she's not even yours.
What?
Me.
A little kid?
Yes, so a little kid not gonna just say this out of nowhere. She heard that from a grown-up that's around.
She wasn't saying it like that. She was saying like, you're not around. Like, you can't come in here and just say something to my child, and she barely see you.
Wait, but I mean, look, a little kid does not have the gumption to come up to a grown man and say,
Yes,
you
you
not
are.
even the dad. What did she say to you exactly?
You ain't not even her father.
Mr. Jones' stories are absolute bangers. A little kid from Miss Jones' family literally walked up to him and told him he wasn't the father. It doesn't get much crazier than that. But despite how entertaining things were getting, it was time to find out the truth. Was Mr. Smith really the father? Or did Motel Guy have two different kids from different women at the same time?
Mr. Smith, you are the father. You are the father. That is your beautiful little girl.
Thank you, Your Honor.
How does that feel to hear?
It felt good.
I kept telling you.
It felt good because I could start a relationship with her and my other kids.
I see the tears in your eyes because I know it mattered to you.
Yes, Your Honor.
We get a lot of crazy cases on paternity court, but every now and again, we get insane cases that we just can't figure out. Ms. Gelster just gave birth to a pair of adorable fraternal twins, but wait! She thinks the twins have different dads.
Ms. Glenster, you have opened your case today because you say your life has been in turmoil since the moment you learned you were pregnant with twins. You are convinced your husband fathered your 8-month-old son, Richard, but you also believe your boyfriend, Mr. Stacy, fathered your son's twin sister, Raylan. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
You already know that this one is about to get spicy. So Mr. Ramey, Ms. Gelster's husband, doesn't believe that he's the father to either of the twins. And on the flip side, Mr. Stacy, Ms. Gelster's boyfriend, believes he is the father to both twins. And yes, you heard that right, Ms. Gelster has a husband and a boyfriend.
How did we get into this confusion with conception?
December 15th, John, Keisha, Scotty, and I was at the house, and Scotty and John were working on the bathroom to get it fixed up.
So your boyfriend and your husband were working on the bathroom?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
And after they had gotten the floor put down, Scotty went into our room, was playing his games in our room. Keisha was in the living room, watched TV, I guess. And John said, come look at the bathroom. He said, we got to talk about the kids, close the door. And then one thing led to another, and we had sex.
Wow! So apparently Ms. Gelster cheated on her boyfriend with her husband. And on top of that, both her boyfriend and her husband's wife were in the house. We might need a flow chart for this one, folks.
I guess he had to use the bathroom or whatever, because he went up to the bathroom and he had heard me and John together, and he said, I can't do this, and he walked out. And when he walked out, we got finished. He left with Keisha.
So wait a minute, you got finished, you finished the act?
Yes, Your Honor. I was addicted to John.
Mr. Stacy, so you knock on the door, you there laying floor, and Mr. Ramey laying something else.
Saying that this case is complicated would be an understatement. So Mr. Stacy, the boyfriend, walked in on Ms. Gelster and her husband having sex in the bathroom, and like anyone would, he was furious and got out of the house. But after being busted by Mr. Stacy, Ms. Gelster and Mr. Ramsey actually continued their little reunion and even managed to finish the act. Talk about dedication.
And then Ms. Gelster, when do you reconnect with Mr. Stacy?
After John and Keisha had left the house that night, went and picked him up from walking up the road and brought him back to the house and told him I was sorry and asked him to stay.
And then how soon after that do you start having sex with Mr. Stacy again?
It was that night.
Oh, right after you have sex with your husband, have sex with your boyfriend?
Not right after. I mean, it was that evening that it happened. But Scotty had left the next day, said he was going to his mom's, that he thought about it, he couldn't do it, and then I went and picked John up and brought him back to the house.
And have sex with him?
Yes, Your Honor.
You couldn't make this stuff up if you tried, guys. This had to be the busiest love triangle in the show's history. After Ms. Gelster was done with her husband, he left with his wife, and Ms. Gelster drove off in her car looking for her heartbroken boyfriend. And no, guys, this isn't the plot of your favorite soap opera. After she found Mr. Stacy wandering around, she brought him back home, apologized, and had sex with him. But that's not all. The next morning, Mr. Stacy left again to clear his mind. And guess who Ms. Gelster invited over for part 2?
Okay, I mean, I'm not gonna be thrown under the bus with this.
I forgot about that, yes, Dave.
I mean, I was with them together, and I just want answers for my children because they deserve to know, and John and Scotty deserve to know.
So I need to be clear. Did you state that you had a threesome with your husband and your boyfriend?
Yes, I did.
Holy smokes! This trio is serving up so much tea it's hard to keep up. Ms. Gelster just admitted to having threesomes with her husband and her boyfriend. Even the judge doesn't know what to say to that. With all the testimonies we've heard so far, the twins' paternity is now totally up in the air. But we're not even done yet.
Why you believe your husband is Richard's father?
Richard has the same birthmark that my son Jonathan had. Richard looks like Jonathan when he was a baby, which Jonathan looks like John when he was a baby. So in turns, Richard looks like John when he was a baby.
Okay, so Mr. Ramey, I want to ask you, do you see the resemblance? Do you believe you could possibly be Richard's biological father?
Possibly, yes, but I do not think that I am. I just don't see the resemblance of myself in the babies when I see them. I don't.
And this is you holding both twins?
Yes, at their home.
Ms. Gelster thinks that her husband, Mr. Ramey, is one twin son because he shares the same birthmark. But Mr. Ramsey doesn't see any resemblance between himself and the twin in question, Richard. And when a picture of Mr. Ramey holding both twins is shown in court, Mr. Satsy admits that it bothers him to see another man holding his children.
If it was a perfect world and you could wave your magic wand and choose the life and the partner you wanted, who would you be with?
I'd be with John. I mean, you said in a perfect world, we wouldn't be here. In a perfect world, we wouldn't have been separated.
This case is all over the place. But at this point, one thing is clear as day. Ms. Gelnster loves her husband more than she loves her boyfriend. Now, that wouldn't be a problem in any other circumstance. But the thing is, her and her husband are separated. And she's now in a relationship with Mr. Stacy, her boyfriend. That must have been hard to hear if you were Mr. Stacy.
Do you think your relationship with your new girlfriend can survive if one or both of the twins are yours?
I really don't know, but that's not my main concern. It's about the babies.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
I mean, hopefully it does. I mean, because I love her very much. But at the same time, they're innocent, and if I am their dad, I've got to be there and handle that.
See, when he said, I love her very much, you closed your eyes and just nodded your head like you didn't want to hear that.
I don't like the girl.
So Ms. Gelnster really doesn't like her husband's new girlfriend, Keisha. But the real question is, does Ms. Gelnster hate Keisha or the fact that Keisha is now her husband's main squeeze? Jealousy was in the air, and it was time for Keisha to give her testimony.
Do you believe your boyfriend is the father of one or both of these twins?
No, 100% no, I do not believe that these kids are his. And
You weren't in there when that happened, Keisha. I mean, how are you gonna say no, it's not?
because they do
At
not
first he
resemble
told you it's
Sammy.
because
They do not resemble my John at all.
Miss Atkins, do you believe Mr. Stacy is the father of one or both of the twins?
No, I do not.
Oh,
Really?
Yes, really.
so you're saying you don't believe either man's the father?
No.
Keisha didn't believe that either of the twins were Mr. Ramey's. According to her, they looked nothing like him. And after trading a few words with Miss Gelnster, drama ensued when the judge asked Keisha if she thought Mr. Stacy was the father to the twins. With no hesitation, Keisha claimed that she didn't think the twins were his either. Jaws were dropping and eyebrows were raised. Everyone knew what she was implying. Shots fired!
I love you both, and I'm sorry regardless what this stuff says.
No matter what it says, Sammy, you know, it's because we're not together. You know, I'm always going to love you. You're the mom of my kids, and I'll always be here. But the main thing is, at least we'll know for the baby.
This result is for Raylan. And just to be clear, you believe Mr. Stacy, your boyfriend, is Raylan's biological father.
Yes.
This had to be one of the trickiest cases Judge Lake had ever seen. There was absolutely no way you could guess the outcome of this saga. So it's a good thing we don't have to guess, right? The results are in, and who knows how this one is going to go.
Mr. Stacy. The next result is for Richard Ramey. It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Stacy.
Now tell me I was sleeping with somebody else.
I'm happy for the children that they know who their biological father is. But I am concerned because when I read those results, Miss Glenster, you wanted those babies to be your husbands.
Mr. Johnson was 100% sure that he wasn't the father to Miss Kirby's son, Caden. Miss Kirby was Mr. Johnson's ex, but her accusations were ruining his current relationship. But as you'll learn very quickly, this case had a lot more to it than everyone thought.
Mr. Johnson, you are here to prove you are not the biological father of Miss Kirby's 11-month-old son, Caden. You claim her accusations are causing trouble in your relationship, and you are certain the results will clear your name. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Kirby was mad, and rightfully so. Since his birth, her son was in and out of hospital with medical issues, and the man she believed to be the father was nowhere to be found. Who wouldn't throw a fit?
And she's causing problems in my current relationship.
How am I causing issues in your current relationship when you just called to me yesterday? So what are you talking about, sir?
I'm not trying to keep up with you. I just wanted to know, is this really happening?
We're off to a quick start. After complaining about Miss Kirby chasing and pinning him as the father to her son, the tables turned on Mr. Johnson almost instantly. Miss Kirby came back with a one-hitter quitter. She claimed that Mr. Johnson had called her and flirted the day before the hearing.
Yes, I told her that she was gonna be my baby mama, but it was just talk. It was nothing like that. We only had sex. That was it. Nothing more. And plus, she's trying to pin this baby on me because she need help now.
Mr. Johnson was convinced that the only reason why Ms. Kirby wanted the baby to be his was that she needed his help taking care of little Caden. Ms. Kirby denied that allegation and dropped another bombshell. Apparently, Mr. Johnson had explicitly told her that he wanted her to be his baby mama, and based on how things end up, his wish may have come true.
Mr. Johnson, did you grow up with a father in your life?
No, Your Honor. I was premature. I was in the hospital for 6 months. And while I was in the
Now, my
hospital...
baby have issues. He have health issues.
While I was in the hospital, Your Honor, my father abandoned me.
Now you
and
abandoned
my
Caden.
mother. I would never do a child like that I know that's mine.
And that Judge Lake wanted to know a little bit more about Mr. Johnson's thought process, so asking him if he grew up with a father was the first logical question. And based on his response, you wouldn't think that Mr. Johnson would ever abandon his own children. But wait, he doesn't think the child is his. Mr. Johnson also revealed that he had health issues as a baby, which really helped Ms. Kirby's case.
And that's what we did, Your Honor. We exchanged numbers, then the next day, boom, we having sex. It was just a sexual relationship. That's it.
So boom, you said.
Yeah.
And you just started having sex.
Yes, Your Honor.
How long did the sexual relationship last?
Well, it lasted for months.
Things just took an interesting turn. According to Mr. Johnson, his and Ms. Kirby's relationship was purely sexual. No strings involved, as some might say. Ms. Kirby also told him that she was seeing other men at the same time. She even had one staying at her house. Wow, things were getting muddy really fast.
Can you tell the court how you found out Miss Kirby was pregnant?
Yes, Your Honor. I was at this party, and I was scrolling on social media, and I seen her post something about she don't need help with her child. So I hit her up. I was like, "Are you pregnant?" She was like, "Yeah."
Ms. Kirby might have shot herself in the foot months ago when she told Mr. Johnson that he wasn't Caden's father. She immediately flip-flopped when he confronted her in person and said that he was the father. So which one is it, Ms. Kirby?
Be mindful that we're talking about two different guys. She was having sex with another guy before this guy that she said that's her supposed to be baby father.
And the saint becomes the sinner. Mr. Johnson shocked the entire courtroom when he revealed that Ms. Johnson was sleeping with 2 additional men around the time of Caden's conception. She tried to nip it in the bud immediately by stating that she used protection.
Talk to the court about the struggles.
My baby have health issues. He has a G-tube, so we back and forth from different doctors, ENT, G-tube clinic, all that. And he's also albino.
Now here is where everything got even more complex. Ms. Kirby testified in detail about Caden's health problems, and the main one was his albinism. Ms. Kirby also disclosed that nobody in her family suffered from albinism, and Mr. Johnson said his family didn't have it either. So with everything pretty much as murky as it was when it started, it was finally time to get some clarity.
Mr. Johnson, you are the father.
Your Honor, like I said, I'm the father of this child, and I'm gonna step up.
One-night stands are a lot like avocados. They're super nice when they happen, but they can be absolutely horrible once time passes. Ms. Weir and her best friend learned that the hard way. And now, there's a sour relationship, a little boy with no father, and a hell of a story. This one is pretty insane.
Ms. Ware, you claim that after one night of passion with the defendant, you ended up pregnant, but he is now denying paternity of your 3-year-old son, Ayante. You opened your case to prove he is the father.
We've got a first, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently, Ms. Weir's best friend, Mr. Wilson, is gay. So initially, their relationship was purely platonic. You'd think that this case was over and done after this realization, but you'd be terribly wrong.
Obviously, if you're here in paternity court, your friendship turned...
Yeah.
So, Ms. Ware, fill me in.
I had called him over, I was bored. I was home alone, I was like, "You wanna come over, get him some drinks, hold up and chill."
Who would have thought this would heat up so quickly? So apparently Ms. Weir masterminded the whole thing. She called Mr. Wilson over to chill one night. One thing led to another, and bam, here we are. She also confessed that she'd been sexually attracted to Mr. Wilson since the first time she saw him. Things are getting saucy, and everyone in the courtroom can't wait to hear Mr. Wilson's account of events.
Thinking she had any ulterior motive, or were you thinking this was just like another fun thing, another potluck?
Yes, Your Honor. I just thought we were just gonna be chilling, you know, like we always do, watch TV, drink, you know, just do what we normally do. She kind of seduced me, you know, we started.
That escalated very quickly. According to Mr. Wilson's very detailed testimony and Ms. Weir's confession, she basically took advantage of him while he was intoxicated. Now, that's pretty shameful, but the fact that she was so unapologetic about it made it even worse.
Mr. Wilson says you were dating other guys. Were you dating other men at that time?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Were you sexually active with the other men?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Were you using protection with those men?
Some I was.
Ms. Weir has been a naughty, naughty girl. Getting down with her best friend wasn't all she did. According to Mr. Wilson, Ms. Weir was also sleeping with many other men around the time of conception. And when the judge asked her if that allegation was true, she said yes. She clarified that she had been seeing 3 men simultaneously at the time. She also swore that she had used protection, but sometimes she hadn't.
So the probability of paternity, 0%. So that's 3 men tested.
Yes, Your Honor.
And 3 men determined not to be Ayante's
Yes, Your Honor.
biological father. And you say Mr. Wilson is the only other man, the only other possibility.
If they want to get back on top, the New England Patriots should be taking notes because Ms. Weir just pulled off the comeback of the century. She had the 3 men who she thought may have been her son's fathers tested, and each of the 3 tests came back negative. You can think whatever you want about her, but Ms. Weir does her homework. All of that put Mr. Weir in a tight spot, and everyone was eager to see how he would respond.
Do you feel like, Mr. Wilson, you know for certain that there were more men besides the 3?
Yes, Your Honor, because like I said, we've been
Your Honor,
friends
but
for a long
there
time.
was only 4. There was
No,
only
Your Honor,
4.
it was more than that, Your Honor. She's done told me multiple things over the years.
Mr. Wilson,
and
please don't sit here and
Miss
try
Ware.
to make it seem like something that it's not, because that's
Miss
not
Ware.
true.
Okay, so there were more men in the picture than Ms. Weir was willing to admit. Of course, that's only according to Mr. Wilson's testimony. And if we know anything about paternity court, you can't take anything that anyone says at face value. When the judge asked Mr. Wilson why Ms. Weir would try to pin a child on him, Mr. Wilson confidently said that he had been doing well for himself over the past few years. So the real question was, why wouldn't she?
because she see that I moved away from Tennessee and done better with myself. I've been gone
And Your
almost 2
Honor-
years, and now she's trying
No.
to pin a child on me.
No, Your
I just
Honor.
think
all I
this is
asked
too
was for
much
him to
for me.
move back. That's all I asked.
I'm not moving back,
Just
Your
move
Honor.
back to Tennessee. That is
I'm not
all
moving
I
back
asked.
to Tennessee.
Wait, why are you asking him to move back to Tennessee?
Because I know he's the
To
father,
use
and
me,
that's
yeah.
all. I just need for him to help me.
Heads were low, emotions were high, and tears were flowing. There was no way anyone was going to know how this case would end until the results came in. It was finally time for Judge Lake to reveal whether Mr. Wilson would be a father or whether Miss Weir had got it all wrong.
Mr. Wilson, you are not the father.
Thank you, Your Honor. You know, I'm sorry, and I love my godson.
Miss Ware, I have to ask you,